Hello everybody and welcome back to another review video. This time I'm going to be reviewing 1959's The Hound of the Baskervilles, another Hammer film starring Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Who, who better to play Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's famous fictional detective Sherlock Holmes than the ever dependable Peter Cushing? After he played Baron Frankenstein in The Curse of Frankenstein, Professor Van Helsing in Dracula, and now he's playing Sherlock Holmes. Like I've said, this is from the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's famous detective Sherlock Holmes, and also starring Christopher Lee. Again, Christopher Lee is starring alongside Peter Cushing, this time playing not a villainous role, but a non-villainous role of Henry Baskerville. Hence the title, The Hound of the Baskervilles. And of course, this was made in 1959. And it's, like I've said, starring Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. And we all know the story of the Hound of the Baskervilles, don't we? It's been portrayed by many actors in the past. This has been made into films. I mean, the first one was Basil Rathbone. He played Sherlock Holmes in The Hound of the Baskervilles. And now is the turn of Peter Cushing. And we all know the story of The Hound of the Baskervilles, don't we? Or should I say, the curse of the Baskervilles. The story is that Sir Henry Baskerville, that is Christopher Lee, he returns from abroad to claim his inheritance of one of the Baskervilles. And of course, there is stories of the Baskervilles are a cursed family. And there is a hound, supposed to be a hound, on the Yorkshire moors. And of course, like I've said, Christopher Lee returns as Henry Baskerville to claim his inheritance. And there are certain people who don't want to see Sir Henry Baskerville claiming the inheritance, and he's supposed to be, like I've said, a hound is supposed to be attacking people on the moors. And of course, this is where Sherlock Holmes, Peter Cushing, is sent for to investigate if it's true or not, whether or not there is a hound, actually a hound. And it turns out that there is. I mean, I think Peter Cushing was the right fit for this role. Only he could play this role as Sherlock Holmes as I think as better than Basil Rathbone did in his version of the Hound of the Baskervilles. But like I've said, and the story is a fictional story, really. Was it? Did it really happen? Was there a Hound of the Baskervilles before Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote his story? We'll never know. But it was this film was released in 1959, and I, I think it was a success, really. And of course, Hammer, they released it after their successful earlier films like the Curse of Frankenstein and Dracula, and now they've made another famous movie. It was a bit. The film was tame for its time, but I suppose it was frightened a lot of people. I believe. I think when it was released for its time, the late 50s. We're coming to the end of the 50s when it was released, 1959, and it stood the test of time. Uh, I haven't seen. I did see it a long while ago. I think it was on old videotape. If you remember those videotapes, the VHS videotapes, you remember them? Now we have DVDs, don't we? I think it was. I think, or was it on TV? One late Saturday night when the BBC Two used to show late night horror films on a Saturday night. I think it was, or it was on one late Friday night. And like I've said, who better to play Sherlock Holmes than Peter Cushing? And of course, Peter Cushing went on to make many famous films, which I shall get round to reviewing in due course. But again, like I've said, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee teaming up once again to terrify cinema goers that year, 1959. And once again, uh, making themselves the horror icons they were at the time. Not only was Peter Cushing in a lot of horror films, also Christopher Lee. He made a lot of horror films for Hammer. Well, anyway, that's the end of my review of The Hound of the Baskervilles, and I'll see you all again in another review.